Get some heals up. Oh, we got to restart. Okay, okay. I input multiple times, switch to Rosaria, and it didn't. Okay, so let's do this. Same teams, but we're gonna flip the sides. Flip the sides. Okay. Okay. Let's discuss this for a second. Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? So a lot of people have been discussing and have been sharing their concerns about how difficult floor 11 is of the Abyss. You know, tonight on stream, I went through and played it through in real time with you guys. I didn't even look to see what the enemies were beforehand. I just kind of jumped in and played it through, kind of thinking, you know, that a lot of this, like, oh, it's difficult, is like the, you know, basically I was thinking I was just going to be able to whale my way through it, as with a lot of the content in this game. And what I found was it was actually a lot harder than I initially thought it was going to be, because it wasn't exactly a DPS check. There were some other elements at work here, and it is a pretty difficult floor. Floor 11-2 last rotation around for Abyss was difficult as well, but for other reasons. And, you know, this floor 11 is quite challenging. So basically up front here, I'm going to give you some tips for those of you guys who are literally just coming for the tips. We can just kind of get these out of the way, and then you can move on with your day, as I'm sure you're going to anyway. But then after we get through the tips, I'm going to talk a little bit about the floor design and what my concerns are, and not necessarily my concerns right now, but where I could potentially see this leading to. So we'll get to that after the tips. But first of all, here's how I would go about thinking of going through floor 11. So first of all, I would clear the first half as fast as possible. Now, that seems kind of obvious, and I am talking about specifically Chamber 3 here. Now, obviously, that's easier said than done, but the more time you can give yourself for the second half, the better, because obviously that's the half that people are struggling with. An easy way to do this is to pull out your physical carries. Currently, I think that Razor or Jinyan are my favorite picks here, as both can cleanse themselves of the Hydro debuff, Razor through his burst, and Jinyan through creating a shield. And of course, we have the 75% physical damage bonus. So both these heroes being physical carries, they're pretty much in heaven, and they're going to absolutely smoke the Sisson mages. And of course, you have Jinyan, who can do pyro damage to help melt those shields even faster. But what about the second half? Obviously, this is where people are having the most trouble, and you're going to need to bring some cryo heroes too, if you have them. Because the thing is, these lectors, you're going to knock them down, you're going to knock their health down, and then when they're at about, you know, a quarter of their health, they're going to pop these Hydro shields that have a lot of resistance. And basically this is because as soon as the shield breaks, you don't actually have to kill them after their shields break, similar to the other Fatui. And because of the Hydro debuff, you want to have as much access to cryo damage as possible, because your skills and bursts are going to be really struggling to be activated, especially if you don't time your skills correctly. Even with cleanses, it can be very, very difficult. For heroes that have cleanses, you have like Jean, Jinyen has a cleanse, Bennett has a cleanse, Razor has a cleanse. But basically, you want to be timing your skills properly. But even if you are timing them properly, it can be difficult to have enough cryo damage. And this is where Ganyu is one of your best options, because she can just fire off basic attacks and do a bunch of cryo damage, and it's going to help you break those shields really fast. Now, obviously, Diona can do this as well, and she's much more accessible, but she's not really good at it. You're only hitting like a single target at a time, and while damage doesn't matter, she's not the best option. Chongyun is good, but I advise bringing a fast attacker like, you know, Rosaria, Zhongli, or Jinyan. Someone with a polearm would be best, because basically he's going to turn all your basic attacks into cryo attacks, and then as you get these hits in, obviously the faster you can get them in, the more cryo damage, the more shield you're reducing. So making sure you're pairing it like that to pair it with Chongyun's skill. Lastly, having characters that can do persistent damage, so that even if you're not attacking, if you're spending time dodging, if you're spending time setting up, you're bringing down the Lector's health and eventually their shield. I found that Fischl and Beidou are perfect for this, as of many other people. They also work really well together because of their resonance. Their resonance is going to reduce the amount of time you're debuffed, because it will reduce the amount of time you're affected by Hydro, but it will also help you build energy quicker. So basically, you can use a skill, and because of the Electro Resonance, you're going to be building up energy for their burst. So you don't have to spend time waiting around for your skill to be up again to build more energy for their burst. Their burst should be up after you use your skill once. And that's the idea here. Beto's burst is going to be dealing persistent electro damage, as is Oz. And basically, as you're moving around, no matter where you go, these electro damages are going to be hitting your opponents, and that's super important that they're constantly being hit. You basically don't want to have any downtime. So as little downtime as you can have is going to be very, very important. So here's the thing with floor 11, and this has kind of been a growing concern of mine that I've mentioned a couple times, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And so basically the first thing is the design of floor 11 kind of sucks from the very beginning. So as you start out the floor, you're told that physical damage is going to get improvements. So you're like, oh, cool. Okay, so let's build some physical teams. That's going to be pretty sick. So you go in, and let's say, I mean, we're kind of jumping the gun here, but you got to get to chamber 3, right? And so you need your cryo heroes there on the second half. So let's stack our cryo heroes there. Well, hold on. If you take a look at the first half of chamber 11, you have the 2 electro Fatuis in the second half, and then you have a third electro Sisson mage in the third half. So you also want cryo heroes there, but then, oh wait, in the third chamber, there's also 2 cryo Sisson mages. So not only do you have to stack cryo in order to take out these electro Fatui, unless you can just power through them, but if you are stacking cryo, then you have basically a couple dead units that are just really bad against the Sisson mage's shield. Now, obviously they can do damage there once you break the shield, but you're taking up slots that could be pyro heroes with cryo heroes, which you need for the third chamber, which you need for the second half of the third chamber. So you're really, really spread out. Or if you want to make it really easier for yourself, you just play Ganyu. But here's the thing. Do you need Ganyu to beat this floor with 3 stars? Absolutely not. Is it leagues easier to beat it with Ganyu? Absolutely. When we were playing it tonight on stream, I played with a team with, I think it was Chungyun and Rosario on the same team. And we struggled. I think I played through the floor 3, maybe 4 times, and it was difficult. Now, granted, it was, you know, my first couple runs on the floor. So I was still kind of learning the mechanics. But then we switched to Ganyu. Smoked it. We still had like 45, 50 seconds left. And it really wasn't even close. Now, remember, upcoming on banner in a couple weeks, we have Eula, a cryo-physical character. Well, that seems mighty convenient, does it? Now, she might not be good on this floor. We have no idea. But it seems really convenient that this floor is specifically built around Eula. Now, look, this is not something new, right? When Zhongli came out, there was a Geo buff for Abyss. When Zhao came out, there was a plunge buff for Abyss. This is not a new thing. MiHoYo's been doing this for a while. But if we also look at floor 12, now I haven't played floor 12, full disclosure, but from what I'm hearing is that you really, really, really want Venti. And Venti was just on banner. So if we remember back to when Ganyu came out, there were a lot of people yelling and screaming about power creep because Ganyu was so much stronger than everybody that had already been out. And I kind of disagreed with that, but I had an example that I was using to dictate what I would consider to start being power creep. And basically it was this. So in a hypothetical scenario, you have a domain with all your enemies, you know, still on the ground. And then up in like a crow's nest situation, there's, I mean, a character with an electro shield, right? It's going to need to be hit by cryo. Well, you could use an Amber, a Venti, and just shoot at that shield all day, and eventually it would break. It would probably take a little bit of time, but you could certainly do it. But then what if Ganyu came out? Well, that domain just got a whole lot easier, like significantly easier, because you can just break it in a couple shots. Okay. This seems to be the situation where, look, I have to ask, is MiHoYo creating content around the heroes or heroes around the content? And right now it seems to be the former. And that's, look, it's potentially scary. It's not scary yet. I think we're close though. We're towing the line where we're starting to get into that situation where, not that they're needed, but pretty close to it. Look, there's always going to be people like Enviosity. He's always going to be the check. right? He's going around with 7 free-to-play characters, and if he can clear the content, cool, we can still clear it. But from what I heard, he had difficulty. I don't know. I haven't seen the video or his stream. But from my experience playing it with Ganyu, it seemed far easier than when I didn't play it with Ganyu. And the same might be said for Yulo. We won't know until she drops. Now, this is a gacha game. Don't get me wrong. MiHoYo does make their money based off selling you characters and selling you Primo Gems to wish for those characters. No doubt about that. But what it seems like they're doing here is offering you an easy switch. And maybe that's what it is for right now. But what if we start getting used to that? That starts becoming the normal. And then they just click it up a notch. And they click it up a notch. Pretty soon we start getting characters who are necessary in order to clear content. That's the reality that I'm scared about. Like I said, we're not there yet. I'm just kind of throwing thoughts into the ether. There is nothing here that says that we're in that situation now where MiHoYo is strictly making characters just to clear content for people who are having difficulty and want to clear it, so then they buy the character. I mean, we are kind of there, but we're not at a point where they're absolutely necessary. That's the thing that I'm scared about. But how long until we get to that reality, I'm not sure. It seems like every patch we're starting to get a little bit closer to that. So we'll see. It just seems like it's starting to become faster than I initially anticipated. But it's something to keep an eye out on. Again, characters are not necessary. You can absolutely clear this without a Ganyu, without Eula coming out. You absolutely can. Just throwing that tidbit out there. Let's see how long it takes for MiHoYo to get a little bit greedier than they already are. We'll see. But that being said, you know, look, we called for a challenge. So here's the challenge. We got to step up now. If they're going to drop a challenge, we can't go and complain like, oh, we said make the game harder. Now it's harder and we want it easier. So is that point a little bit contradictory to the whole previous point of this video? Kind of. But we also have to remember that we are very early on in, you know, this version of the Abyss. There is eventually going to be a strategy, just like there was in the last Floor 11 Chamber 2. Eventually, people figured out how to manipulate the AI, and it became much, much easier. So maybe that's the case with this one. Maybe we just have to wait. We're still very early on in this patch. But for the time being, hey, this is content that we can start to really grind into and, you know, maybe come up with different strategies that we didn't think of earlier. Who knows? Maybe we're overthinking things a little bit too much. Maybe we're not thinking enough. But, you know, that's what we get with a video game that's constantly in rotation with constant moving parts, is sometimes things work and sometimes things don't. But for right now, this is what we have, and let's have fun with it while we have it. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think of this topic overall. And if you did manage to 9-star Floor 11, let us know what teams you played with down below in the comment section. Guys, that is all I have for today. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you like this content, please do subscribe to the channel, like this video, and click the notification bell. That way you never miss a video. Of course, do join our Discord. Link will be down in the description below. But that's all I have for today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.